Welcome back to Smile and Scars, the channel where every scar tells a story, and every smile hides a deeper struggle. Here we uncover tales of arrogance, cruelty, and the unexpected twists where justice arrives in the most surprising way. Today's story is no exception. It is the story of a waitress, an arrogant biker, and a man whose legend is known across the world, Chuck Norris. Sit back, relax, and don't miss a second, because what you're about to hear will leave you speechless. It was a warm summer evening in a small American town, the kind of place where everyone knew everyone, and where life moved at a slow and peaceful pace. A tiny diner sat at the edge of Main Street. Neon lights flickered in its window, welcoming tired travelers, truckers, and locals who came there for coffee, pie, and a sense of community. Inside, the sweet smell of pancakes and fried chicken filled the air. Behind the counter stood Emily, a young waitress in her 20s, with bright eyes and a warm smile. She had been working double shifts for weeks just to save money for her college tuition. Everyone in the town knew her. She was kind, hardworking, and always willing to help anyone in need. But peace never lasts forever. That evening, a group of bikers roared into town, their motorcycles thundering like a storm rolling down the street. The leader, a man named Viper, was tall, muscular, and covered in tattoos. He was the kind of man who believed fear was power and respect was something you took by force. His gang followed him like shadows, rough men with cruel eyes, looking for trouble wherever they went. When the bikers walked into the diner, silence fell. Conversations stopped. The regulars lowered their heads, pretending to be busy with their meals. Emily tried to stay calm, even though her hands trembled slightly as she carried a tray of coffee mugs to another table. She hoped they would just eat, pay, and leave. But trouble was written all over their faces. Viper noticed Emily immediately. He smirked, leaning against the counter as his men spread out across the diner, laughing loudly and shoving chairs around. Emily came over politely, her pen and notepad ready. "Good evening, sir. What can I get you?" she asked, keeping her voice steady. Instead of answering, Viper reached out and grabbed her wrist tightly. She froze, trying to pull back, but his grip was like iron. "What's a pretty girl like you doing in a place like this?" he sneered. His gang erupted into laughter, banging their fists on the tables. Emily's face turned red. "Sir, please let me go. I'm just trying to do my job." But Viper wasn't listening. He tugged her closer, his eyes filled with arrogance. "Why don't you sit with us instead? Forget the food. We're hungry for something else." The entire diner went silent. The customers looked away, afraid to intervene. Some whispered under their breath, but no one dared to stand up to the gang. Emily's heart raced. She had been harassed before, but this was different. This man wasn't just flirting. He was humiliating her in front of everyone. One of the bikers whistled loudly. "Come on, boss. Show her how we treat waitresses in the city." Emily's eyes filled with tears. She pulled harder, finally breaking free of his grip, but Viper laughed darkly. He stood up, towering over her, and the menace in his eyes sent a chill through the room. "You think you can walk away from me?" he growled. Before Emily could reply, he slapped the tray out of her hands, sending mugs crashing to the floor. Coffee splashed across the tiles as she stumbled back, her chest tightening with fear. That's when the diner door opened. A man stepped inside quietly, his boots echoing against the floor. He wasn't dressed like the bikers, just a simple shirt, jeans, and a cowboy hat tilted low over his eyes. But there was something about him, something powerful. The air shifted the moment he entered, and even those who didn't know who he was felt it. It was Chuck Norris. He had been traveling across the state, taking a quiet break after weeks of work, and decided to stop by the diner for coffee. He didn't expect trouble, but life had a way of finding him. And when he saw Emily standing there, terrified, surrounded by men twice her size, he knew he couldn't stay silent. Viper turned toward him, sizing him up. "And who the hell are you, old man?" Chuck lifted his head slowly, his eyes locking on Viper's with the calm of a predator. His voice was steady, quiet, but filled with authority. "Just someone who doesn't like bullies." The gang laughed. One of them slapped the counter. "Oh, this is Rich. The cowboy wants to play hero." But Viper didn't laugh. He didn't like the look in Chuck's eyes, the confidence in his posture. He stepped closer, trying to intimidate him. "You got no idea who you're talking to, stranger." Chuck's gaze didn't waver. "Neither do you." The tension in the room was unbearable. Emily stood frozen, clutching her apron, while the rest of the customers watched in silence, hope flickering in their eyes for the first time. Viper finally smirked. "All right, old man. If you want to protect her, then you'll have to go through me." He cracked his knuckles, his gang cheering behind him, but Chuck didn't move. He simply shifted his stance, relaxed, like a man who had already won. And that was when the first punch was thrown. The diner fell silent, every eye locked on the two men, standing only a few feet apart. Viper had thrown the first punch, a heavy swing, aimed straight at Chuck Norris's face. The sound of his fist cutting through the air was sharp, but what happened next shocked everyone. Chuck shifted ever so slightly, tilting his head with perfect timing, and Viper's fist met nothing but empty air. The biker stumbled forward, surprised by the miss. Chuck didn't strike back immediately. He simply let Viper feel the weight of his own mistake. His calmness only made the gang leader angrier. "You got lucky," Viper snarled, turning back with rage in his eyes. The gang cheered him on, slamming fists on the tables, yelling for blood. "Get him, boss, show him who's king." But Viper didn't realize who he was dealing with. His second attack came even harder, a wild swing meant to knock Chuck flat on the ground. This time, Chuck moved with speed that no one expected. He caught Viper's wrist mid-swing, twisted it, and in one smooth motion sent the biker crashing to the floor. The sound of his body hitting the tiles echoed through the diner. Gasps filled the room. Emily, standing by the counter, covered her mouth in shock. She had never seen anything like it. But Chuck wasn't done. He leaned over slightly, his voice calm and controlled. "You've had enough," Viper growled, scrambling back to his feet. His pride was wounded, and humiliation burned hotter than the pain in his arm. "Nobody does that to me," he roared. He lunged again, this time trying to tackle Chuck to the ground. It was a mistake. With the precision of a master, Chuck sidestepped, used Viper's momentum, and sent him flying into a table. Plates shattered, food spilled everywhere, and Viper lay groaning, clutching his ribs. The gang fell silent for a moment. Their fearless leader, the man who had ruled them with terror, was lying beaten in front of them. But arrogance made them reckless. "Get him!" One of them yelled, and in an instant, 3 bikers rushed Chuck at once. The diner erupted in chaos. Chairs toppled, dishes clattered, and terrified customers ducked under tables. Emily stood frozen, her heart pounding, unable to believe what she was seeing. The first biker swung a bottle at Chuck's head, but Chuck ducked smoothly, the glass shattering against the wall. With one swift kick, Chuck knocked him backward, sending him sprawling across the floor. The second biker came in with a knife, slashing wildly. Chuck grabbed a chair, used it as a shield, and then spun, striking the man across the chest, disarming him in seconds. The third tried to grab Chuck from behind, but a sharp elbow strike sent him collapsing to his knees. One by one, the bikers fell. The entire diner was filled with gasps and cheers now. The once terrified customers began whispering Chuck Norris's name. They realized they weren't just watching a fight. They were watching a legend in action. But Viper wasn't done. Blood trickled from the corner of his mouth as he staggered back to his feet, fury burning in his eyes. He grabbed a pool cue from the corner of the diner, snapping it in half to make 2 sharp sticks. "This ends now," he screamed. Chuck's expression didn't change. He simply adjusted his stance, calm as ever. "You're right, it does." Viper charged, thrusting the broken cue like a spear. Chuck dodged with effortless grace, striking his arm, making him drop one piece. With the other, Viper swung like a madman, but Chuck blocked, twisted, and delivered a roundhouse kick so powerful it sent Viper crashing into the jukebox. The machine sparked, music blaring for a moment before going silent again. The diner froze. Viper lay motionless on the floor, groaning in pain, his gang scattered and defeated. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Emily stepped forward slowly, tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. Her voice trembled with relief and gratitude. Chuck turned to her, his tone gentle. "You don't have to thank me. No one should ever treat you that way." The customers began to rise from their